everybody. Welcome to another episode of What a Hell of a Way to Dad. It is Francis, and today I have a very special guest, somebody I've been wanting to get on the show for a while, Max Brallier. Max has written some fantastic books for kids, and I want to go over them because, Max, you write very horror-centric books, but that are fun. But I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. So, Max, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you.
So, Max, you've written some books, you've written some movies. One of my favorite movies in the last couple of years that I saw. So I want to start with my, we'll get to the kid stuff in a minute, but we're going to start with my stuff. You wrote the movie VFW, which is a phenomenal movie.
Thank you. I'm so glad I wrote it with one of my best friends going back to middle school. We wrote it together.
And for those of you who haven't watched it, VFW is a horror movie that takes place in bombed out American City, where drugs have taken over and there's no law and there's lawlessness, but all the veterans still go and drink at the local watering hole, the local VFW. And I love this movie because sometimes horror movies try to kind of move away from the tropes, but it seems like you guys just kind of leaned in to as many of them as you could to make a really good Fangoria kind of movie.
Yeah. My friend Matt McCardle wrote it. We were huge John Carpenter fans. And so it was very much a love letter to Assault on Precinct 13 and that kind of siege type thing. It's my favorite.
And you have a theme there. You have zombies, drug addict zombies in this one, but also in your other in your books that you have a lot of zombies, a lot of monsters and everything. So obviously you've got a lot of horror background to your writing. So you and I are about the same age. I just turned 42 back in March. You're about to turn 42. So we probably have the same books that we were reading when we were growing up. So I'm curious, as two young readers, what were you reading that really kind of set you on this pathway?
Oh, good question.
Because I can think Goosebumps, obviously, but Goosebumps is not, you write something different.
Yeah. Well, I was a movie fan before. I was always a reader, but I was never that voracious kid who was reading Stephen King in fourth grade. I was reading Calvin and Hobbes and Goosebumps and the scary one that still scares me that was kind of life-changing was Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark with this terrifying art and there was the spider coming out of the woman's face. So that was the sort of scary stuff I read. And then a lot of X-Men comics. And as I got older, a lot of Sin City and stuff like that, Batman. And then I was a lot of screenplays. So I fell big time in love with movies in early middle school.
Okay. So mostly horror movies then.
Actually, action first. It was action stuff I loved and spy stuff. And then as I got older, maybe towards the end of high school, it was Evil Dead that kind of turned me on to horror in a huge way. And then Evil Dead 2, which was it can be different, also scary. It can be funny. Mm-hmm. It can be weird at the same time. I remember we rented, and I was with my friend Matt, who I were at VW with in high school. I remember we rented Evil Dead and it was so scary. And I remember watching it at his house late one night. We had to walk our friend home and it was terrifying. And then we watched Evil Dead 2 the next night. And I was what the hell is this? This is not what I thought it was going to be. I was super confused. And it was mixing things in a way that I didn't like at first. It took me a couple of years to be I like Darkman when it's goofy and silly at the same time as it is intense.
Yeah.
But it took me a beat to sort of fall in love with that. But now that's my favorite thing is when something does that in a good way.
Yeah, I had that with my dad took me to go see Spawn when that came out in theaters, and that has that same, because I think it's coming up on an anniversary, and Spawn, very dark character, a lot of death and fighting demons and everything, but then you've got Clowney, you've got John Leguizamo in this tiny fat suit waddling around making the most ungodly sounds. And it's funny, you can, and I feel sometimes horror movies, I don't know if horror movies try to we're going to be funny with the gore or not with the gore, because I think of Lawnmower Man, right, where he picks up the that was the one where he picks up the lawnmower. No, Brain Dead.
Okay,
Brain Dead is the one I'm thinking of. But he picks up the lawnmower and he's killing all the zombies and everything with it. And a horror movie that I'm absolutely laughing out loud at because of just how ridiculous the entire thing is. And so and I do your books are very much like that have that comedy element to it.
Yeah, I just saw Weapons. Did you see Weapons yet?
I haven't.
So I saw Weapons recently. I won't spoil anything, but it has that same way Barbarian did, where it's like this mix of funny in like really unexpected ways. And I love that. Like that same, it's like where you don't kind of know what's coming and it gets like over the top weird and silly, but it's really fun. And that's like what I liked about like Evil Dead 2 when I was younger. And still, obviously. Yeah, so stuff I like, stuff that I write with like book series, I try to do like, I sort of always feel like I'm trying to do Goonies a little bit, but with a lot of fast-paced banter. So I like writing that stuff. It's almost like I'm trying to do like my own like Seinfeld version of stuff sometimes, like Seinfeld in a horror universe, that's the fun thing too.
Yeah, we can. That's your next project.
Yeah, totally. And then draw on like kind of pick a genre or like an angle or an avenue, like it's a Siege thing or it's a Dirty Dozen thing or it's a Guns N' Navarone thing, and try to like look at that and try to break it down and be like, okay, I'm gonna try to write that, but for kids and in my voice. So that's sort of like what I end up trying to do each time.
Yeah. And I mean, it's really, it is a great love letter to these, to all of these different series that you can say, I'm going to take this idea, but I'm going to have a bunch of kids do it.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe tone down, like there's violence, but there's not, kids are they're not even killing zombies. They're like killing the monsters. They like specifically you have them as like, they're people. We do not kill them. We can bonk them on the heads though. That's fine.
That was an early thing with it, was that I wanted the zombies to be like actual flesh-eating zombies. It wasn't a world where like they were gonna come back at the end with like a magic reverse potion or something. But that I wasn't gonna have the kids kill them, but that there would be like big monsters that they could kill. So we got to do a bunch of like, I wanted to see the actual like cool fun of defeating and destroying a monster with your buddies. Like that to me seemed fun. Yeah.
Yeah. And not to, zombies are easy. Everybody, has their, them and their buddies, what they're going to do for a zombie.
Totally.
But you're throwing completely different random monsters, big, massive, giant, 3 stories tall kind of things. So, there is a more, you get to do more with it. Like, I feel like your average zombie film is hampered by the fact that it's just zombies. You have zombies can only be people size, and, unless you want to get really weird with it, which you kind of do, all the like Left 4 Dead games and stuff like that. Yeah.
And there's like there's like a big zombie creature at one point. There's a big zombie ball in the first book. So I get to do like different stuff with them and play with them in a way that's like, oh, like what's like this thing I haven't seen before, like trying to figure that out, because there's so much, like it's hard to find something you haven't seen or read before with zombies.
Yeah. But when you are kind of creating these worlds and everything, what I get, one of the questions was, how do you stop yourself from getting too weird with it? Because like you've created this world that has a certain physics to it, right? But also you have these giant monsters that that come in and have different interactions with the characters. The characters have different interactions with one another. So there is like this is a human world. So is there like a point in time that you're just like, I'm getting too weird with it here?
That's a good question. In terms of like weird, it's like if it's weird, so like in like then like the world building or however you want to sort of call it, it's like a gut thing. I think it's sort of hard to describe, but there's stuff where or it's hard to explain, but there's stuff where I'm like, okay, that feels right, and stuff where like that feels like too much or too like
it just doesn't fit. It doesn't the story,
fit.
I guess.
Yeah, like because I have to always remember that they're like kids. They're not like super. Like there's parts where I'm like, and then they fall off something. I'm like, wait, that's like a 50-foot fall. It's not gonna work. And it's like not like Captain America.
It's not John Wick, who we can throw off of every building.
Exactly. There's a lot of those. So yeah, it's just sort of like a gut thing where it's like, does this feel like it fits in this world or not? And I think I'm probably, not necessarily right all the time. Like there's probably things where like if I had written a certain way, it would have worked. But at the time, it's just like, it doesn't feel right, or it feels too much. Or also at the same time, it's something that feels too little because the world gets bigger. It's like the threats have to kind of get bigger and the stakes have to raise and all that stuff. So it has to also continue to kind of build upon itself to maintain a certain level of like, page turning excitement.
Mm-hmm. You got to keep them going. So you've got a couple of series here. You've got The Last Kids on Earth. First one came out in 2015. Galactic Hot Dogs, which was 2015, and Eerie Elementary, which was 2014. So, and it seems like, do you kind of rotate through them? Like, all right, I've done this book. I'm going to go ahead and work on the next one in this series. Because I see Galactic Hot Dogs has a couple years since the last one. But...
Yeah, so that was a trilogy. I did the 3 of those, and that was the trilogy. And then Eerie Elementary, I haven't done. We did 10, and the 10th one put a bow on it. And that led me, though, to do with the same editor a series called Mr. Shivers. And those are like short stories, really short. Like, I think they're like 200 words, maybe.
Okay.
But it's a young audience, but they're intended to actually be like scary. Like there's a girl, like in the first book, I think I'm on number 5 now. It's one of my favorites. The girl who gets like a hair stuck in her throat. It's driving her nuts. And she tells her mom, she tells her dad, tells her teacher. And everyone's like, oh, it'll go away. And then she finally goes to the doctor, and the doctor's like, I found the hair. And he pulls on it, and it's the tail of a mouse that's like wriggling around in her stomach.
Okay.
So it's like creepy, weird, unsettling
yeah.
stuff, but really short. And the art is really beautiful. This artist, Letizia from Italy, it does this like beautiful watercolor stuff that makes it really unsettling in a great way. So with those, I kind of rotate. And then now I do one Last Kids book a year, and then I also do a spin-off series, which is The Last Comics on Earth, which is about like the kids in their apocalyptic downtime doing what I did as a kid and like writing and drawing comics where they imagine themselves as like weird superheroes in this like much weirder version of the world. And that's a place actually going back to sort of when something's too weird, there'll be jokes or something that I'll start to write for Last Kids and be like, this is funny to me, but it doesn't feel like it's the right tone for the books. And if it's really weird, we'll take that and put it into Last Comics because there's really no rules in that. That's kind of the idea behind it. It's just like whatever makes us laugh. I write that with my friend Josh Pruitt. It's illustrated by our friend Jay Cooper. And like, that's really just kind of weird and like stuffed with like jokes everywhere and like little jokes in the art and kind of overflowing with stuff. And so things that are too weird for Last Kids sometimes end up there.
Yeah, I mean, that's where when you need to be able to throw somebody off of a 50-foot high building,
and you can do it. Yeah,
you do it in the comic,
exactly.
The comic book. I get that. Now, something I really like about the format of your books is that it's not quite comic book, but it's not quite novel.
Yes.
Where you have these comic panels in there, and I don't remember seeing a lot of that. You know, when I was younger, when we were younger, those books did not really exist.
No.
You had books that maybe had a picture at the beginning of the chapter, but you know, I wanted to know like kind of why did you settle on this? Because you've done a lot of graphic novel reading, as you said earlier, and it seemed like less, you know, books and more graphic novels and movies are what you know, drives your ambitions on this.
Totally.
That half like where you not quite a comic, but like the panels are important. You have to read the panels too.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's kind of two things that led that, and the first one was. Well, yeah, that didn't really exist when we were kids that I know of. Right. I hadn't really seen it until Jeff Kinney's Diary of a Wimpy Kid came out. And it was then text, illustration, and the punchline to the text was in the illustration, or the punchline to the illustration was in the text. It was like, you know, that's why I'm the bravest kid around. And that's an illustration of a kid being not brave. And it's funny, it works. So I had read that, and I knew Jeff a little bit, but we were working on something together, a gaming site that he had created called Pop Tropica, and I did some video game work for him. And so that came out, and I thought it was super funny, like so funny, and I had never seen that before. And then I also read a series called Big Nate, which had big comic strip panels.
Big fan of Big Nate in this house too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good. And so I read the first maybe 4 or 5 of the like novel versions of those, like not just the illustrated novels, but not just the collected panels, collected comic strips. And that was doing the same thing. And then another series called Dork Diaries came out and did the same thing. And I really liked that. And it really like connected with like the movie side of my brain where it's like a cut to it, something. It's like you're showing one thing and then you cut to the next scene, or you cut to a cutaway gag, almost like in a Simpsons sort of way. And so I got excited by that, but I knew that I was not funny enough or clever enough to do something about like being just an everyday kid in middle school. And I also knew that it had been done already really brilliantly. And that what I liked was big action, adventure, horror stuff. And so I wanted to try to do that sort of format in a way that take that format and use it to tell like a Goonies meets Dawn of the Dead thing. Mm-hmm. And so that's like where the kind of initial thought around that format came from because Wimpy Kid existed. And I was like, this is awesome. And can this be done in used for a different sort of purpose? And then also because the movie part of it, it felt like, you're reading the description of something and you turn the page and it's a 2-page spread of this huge vista with the monster on the horizon. That felt very cinematic to me. And that's the way my brain worked. I liked that. And so those sort of two things together is what caused me to do that format. And I immediately loved it. When I first started writing, I was like, oh, this feels natural. Like, of all the things I've written, when I sat down to write Last Kids, like the Jack voice came to me with more ease, more naturally than pretty much anything I'd ever written before. And it was just like a kid talking about like, here's what's going on. And it's weird. And I'm in the treehouse and it's scary, but I also am going to try to be brave and funny about it. And, oh, here, look at this. This is what happened yesterday. You cut away to something that just came really, I was like, I have a million ideas for this and it's really fun.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it came about.
Well, and I do love the format. It's great as a, when you've got so much visual medium that you want to work with, but also you want to write more story. It's a perfect way to kind of set that up. And I think yours is the first time I'm really seeing it as an action, as parts of action sequences to tell the story. And you're right, it does really work out very well. And I think it's good also for those, those readers who might be a little hesitant to move on from, panels into actual novels with long paragraphs that they have to read. It's like, look, but you have to read it if you want to understand the picture that you're looking at.
Yeah.
So
to get the most out of it, you really got to read it. I'm also like, when I started writing it, the writing came very naturally, but like whether or not it would like kind of work and feel like an actual cohesive thing was very much like I hope, I don't know. And then when Doug Holgate, who does the illustrations for it, when he sent like his first illustrations, probably back in like 2013 or something, it's a lot. It's crazy how long ago it is. I was like, I opened my email and I was like, I'm always hesitant to look at art because I'm always like, oh, what if I don't like it? Even though I always end up liking it. I opened it for the first, I saw his art for the first time and it had been placed in the pages so you could actually read it and turn the page and like see the gags. And it was so, I was like, oh crap, like it's working. Like this is actually what I hoped it would be like, even like couldn't quite 100% picture it. So that was like a really great, exciting moment.
Yeah, the style is great too because it's as if your main character is doing the drawings himself.
Yeah,
so it
beautiful.
has that like it's not to like say your guy draws like a 14-year-old, but
no, but he draws like with that imagination.
He does it exactly, and I think that's a big point of it. So for on your end, where does that imagination come from? Like, how do you, as a man in their 40s, write in the voice of a teenager?
I just think I'm still like kind of and I just think I'm like I don't want to say big kid.
Do you constantly think that you're still 25 as well?
Yeah, sort of. I do. Like,
I got that problem too.
Yeah, the things.
Are you the youngest sibling?
No, oldest. I have a sister, but honestly, that actually could be part of it. I think so I'm 8 years older than my sister, like 7.5. And we're really close. And I remember like almost the way when you had like when she was born, then, I was like 15 and she was 8 and getting like really excited about like her getting excited about Star Wars and stuff and like doing that. And so like, I wonder if maybe I never thought about it before. That sort of kept me younger a little bit, like trying like playing with her and messing around and going go-karting and stuff. Having somebody to show the world to. Yeah, totally. That's what's great about having a kid. It's just, when you're a kid, when you're a parent, you have to say you got to go to bed. But when you're a sibling, you get to say, no, don't go to bed. Come eat cookies with me. Totally. And then also the best parts are like the moments when, as a parent, you're like, let's blow off bed and eat cookies. Like that's the most fun. And I like being like that. I like, being like a fun dad with my daughter and now my son. You're balancing it obviously with, you don't want to be the kid parent who's like always fun and there's no rules or anything. It's not like that, but
you can't do that. No,
that's a
there's got to be a bedtime. You got to brush your teeth.
Exactly.
Kid.
You got to do that stuff. But like it's more fun being an adult with a kid than it is an adult without a kid. I found like I get to, when there's laser tag birthday party, I'm like, hell yeah, we get to play laser tag today. That's fantastic. Like that's the best. Like I love that stuff. I just think I'm still kind of, again, I don't want to say big kid, but like a little bit of that where I get excited about like, oh, let's go look at trampolines at the store. Like that's what I want to do for my time. And not like a lot of other stuff that I like to do. Yeah.
Like if dinosaurs were cool when I was 14, dinosaurs are still cool. I'm 42.
Totally. All the stuff that like I liked then, I still like now. So that's like what I write about the stuff that I got excited about when I was a kid. And that's still the same stuff I get excited about now. Yeah. Like, dinosaurs and laser blasters and stuff like that is still cool to me.
So you're writing the books, but how do you translate that into writing a movie? Like you do have other books in your past before these, so you have that background of writing, but how do you translate that? Like, how does one write a screen? I don't know how somebody writes a book, but I feel like I'm closer to that than I am a screenplay.
I still feel like I'm figuring that out because like I know like recently, it's funny, my wife's hearing is not the best. And so like she watches TV with subtitles on for like most things. And so then I've kind of started to do that, even though it used to drive me nuts. I'm like a little bit used to it now. And also it's like when you're a parent, like your kids are asleep and you have to like keep a little quiet, you still want to know what's going on. Because I watch like a British mystery, I'm like, I don't know what people are saying without
no
it.
idea. Yeah.
Which then caused me to like read the dialogue as I'm watching it. And I'm like, oh, it sounds, you need the performance behind it. And like, that's when you're writing, it's like, when you're writing like a novel, it's like, it all has to be there on the page. Whereas with the screenplay, it's like you're sort of like teeing up other people. And that took me a while to figure out. And I'm really still figuring that out. But writing a screenplay is a lot. A book is the same way, but it's a lot of like closing your eyes and trying to picture a scene in your head and like seeing it kind of play out and trying to grab that and put it on paper. Like I do a lot of like I can't act at all, but like I do a lot of like I speak the dialogue out loud while I'm writing it. Like I do a lot of like kind of like banter type stuff. And so I like to just I even like record on my phone. Like, okay, this scene, there's two idiots in a car and they're arguing about the fact that one of them ran over the monster when they shouldn't have. And it's like, well, how did you do that? Well, why didn't you tell me? You told me not to do that. And if I can't, it's harder for me to write it than it is to just like say it out loud and be myself, who's like the idiot who would do the wrong thing. Right. So that's kind of how I get into any sort of writing that stuff. And I find once I get past the beginnings are hardest because I always struggle with like sort of setup stuff. But once you get like into like the second act and things are moving, I can sort of see the structure a little bit. I spend a lot of time outlining before I write a book or a novel, figuring out what's going to happen because I have to know that stuff. I never really sit down and just start writing without knowing where it's going to go. I used to do that, but now I'd like to know. Although even saying that out loud, I wonder if I should try to sit down and screwing around for a bit. But yeah, so I have an outline and I know what needs to happen in the scene. And then I sort of just start talking and trying to find the hardest for me is bad guys and not making them all sound exactly the same. Like so just like you've made the wrong decision. Yeah. Sinister type thing. And then because that's so much in the performance when you like, I noticed that again with like subtitles, it's like, I'm like, oh, this is just the same dialogue I would have written. Like it's like the characters don't necessarily speak that differently. It's really in the acting and the directing. So yeah, I don't know. I'm still figuring out the screenplay thing.
You got to lay it down and let George Wendt be George Wendt.
Exactly. Totally. Yeah. Like all that stuff of them screwing around in the beginning in DFW, that could have been, and I think that part of DFW works. I mean, I like the whole movie thing. It works well, but that stuff makes you like them, or you not like them, at least they feel I think they feel like real people. And that's because the acting is just them. Like they're all very natural performers and they're all together and close in a way. And it's shot where you see, 3-4 of them in the scene, as opposed to like a lot of like back 1-1-1-1-1, or like I said, or two talking heads. So it makes it feel kind of lived in or real in a way. And that's like, I guess just the actors and director Joe Pigos doing a great job.
So who was responsible for the toothpick conversation that they had at the beginning of the movie? Was that you? Was that I carry a box of toothpicks with me wherever I go?
That one was, I think that was me. That was one of the last things we wrote. I think it was a note from a producer that was like, we need one more like sort of funny beat here. And I was like, shit. Like me and Matt sat down and like, we need to have them say something funny, but we're not like sitcom writers. So it was a tough thing to kind of figure out. And then I think we were just sort of like acting it out a little bit, and that part came. And the Moonraker part of it, it was that same thing.
You guys nailed it, because that's exactly what a bunch of gross old soldiers will talk about.
Good. I'm glad that we nailed it. I really am.
Yeah. I have never had that conversation, but I'm not there yet. I'm not old and busted in VFW. I got some years before.
20 years.
Yeah. So this movie is great. It had Stephen Lang, Fred Williamson, William Sadler, George Wendt, a lot of really great like horror people, like people who are just like, I've seen I think Fred Williamson, the first movie I saw him in was Dusk Till Dawn.
Same. Yeah.
And absolutely fell in love with his acting from there.
He's so good.
He's just, So were
they're
you
all
a part
great.
of getting any of the actors on that, or was it just here's the script, figure it out for yourselves?
It was, it was more. I was trying to think back to it. It was, I think that Sadler was like the last one they got, and we really knew he wanted his character to be like the big, funny, kind of weird one, where Lang was kind of anchoring it all. We didn't know where it was going to go, but we were more just like sitting on our phones, looking at text emails, waiting to find out, like, let's go out to this person, get really excited. And Sadler was like, oh, this is fantastic. We really hope, fingers crossed. And then it worked out. That was how it kind of was for all of them.
Yeah, for Sadler, those of you, the movie you probably know him in is Shawshank Redemption as Haywood.
Mm-hmm. Bad guy in Die Hard 2.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great stuff. Yeah, he's brilliant.
And yeah, it's a fantastic, like I said at the beginning, it really, is that kind of love letter to a horror movie, but with the military. And I was wondering, how did you land on a military theme for this? Why VFWs?
That was the whole idea of the VFW. I had a friend who serves, and he came back and he would go to the VFW, and I was like, that's so cool. It's like a club. I can't go. And it's the whole idea of it. And then I think in my head, it was much cooler maybe than it really is.
It is.
But the concept of it.
I think it is.
And then there was an episode of the show Justified, which is one of my favorite shows.
Oh yeah.
And there's an episode like the number 2 or 3, not Asian, but what is their job? What is their job at? They are marshals. Yeah, the marshals. Yeah, is like a sort of like a sniper, and he had come back from, I guess, Iraq at that point. And they have to go like get information from the guys in the VFW, and I think it's like Oliphant can't come in because he never served the military, and it was like a cool, like the rules of it were cool, and then I was like, I was always trying to figure out like what can I do that's like assault on precinct 13, but it's not a police station, it's from dusk till dawn, but it's not a bar, like what's the location that makes that interesting? And then the idea of a bunch of old veterans I thought was really fun. It's like they have these skills or things they haven't done in years, and this new situation kind of brings it out of them. That seems like a fun one to me. That's where it came from.
We love it when a guy is out and he gets pulled back in. Against his will.
Exactly.
A perfect story.
Like, what's more fun than that? It's great.
Right. So let me ask you, Max, what's the last movie that really scared you?
Weapons scared me.
Did it?
Yeah, there's a jump scare in it that scared me, and then I don't like stuff about kids anymore. Having a kid, it's not fun. Yeah, it really is. It's not like I'm like I won't watch it, but it's just like I can't enjoy it as much really. Because I find myself being like, oh, like this is too much.
What if my child ran off into the woods?
Totally.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm at the movies, like I'm gonna go home and check on him. So that scared me. I watched a couple things I saw together, which parts of it kind of grossed me out. And then I showed my wife Barbarian after we saw Weapons, because she liked Weapons, she hadn't seen it. And there's a couple parts of that when like the mom woman is like coming down the hall that are really scary. I'm trying to think of what last thing that really scared me before that was. I don't know. I still like a good jump scare gets me. Like that's the thing that kind of scares me the most. Like a well-timed, well-done, scary face looking at me. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I think I'm kind of with you where I like that that crossover between action and horror. And something I wish there was more of was more like cosmic horror, like not necessarily Cthulhu, but kind of in that same genre. Yeah. And I don't watch a lot of horror movies, so I'm not. When I say Event Horizon, that's not like because I'm so tough. It's just Event Horizon was the last movie that stuck with me like for weeks afterwards.
Yeah.
And because I watched that when I was a teenager too. And that is one of the last like sci-fi horror. And it scared the shit out of me, and I loved it. And every minute of it. And I think that's when I started watching Alien and Aliens and things like that, where it's this action horror. Like wet girls coming out of a well in Japan to like steal your soul through a TV doesn't really interest me. I want there to be something going on. I want there to be some kind of action. I also was really a big fan of the Purge movies too. I've
never seen any of the Purge movies, but I just added them to my. I've been trying to use Letterboxd a lot, not for like reviewing stuff, but just like to keep, because I'll sit down at the TV at night, like kids are asleep, and I'm going to watch something, and then I would just like the TV doom scroll
forever.
That's not quite right. I don't want to pay for that one, blah, blah, blah. So now I've been using Letterboxd, which is like, I've been like flying through movies that I haven't seen that I wanted to see. And I love I think it's the Purge Anarchy. The cover is, the art is, the poster art is so awesome. And I know the first one's supposed to be really good. I had never seen any of them, so that's like actually at the top of my letterbox right now.
Yeah, it is. Like the further along they get in it, the more like unnecessarily complicated it gets, I feel. But like those first couple of movies where it's just like, no, for 12 hours you can do literally anything you want.
Yeah.
Really lends a lot of really great stories, and it gets to be a little anti-capitalist in it because of course all the rich people get to they can afford the security while everybody else is running around with machine guns.
That was an early thing when I was doing, not early, but like one of the early things that got me excited when I was doing Last Kids on Earth was all there's lots of zombie apocalypse movies, but there's the part of me, or a big part, that's always like, in a movie form, in fiction, like this seems really fun. You can do whatever you want, like Dawn of the Dead. As a kid, I was like, oh, you can just be at the mall and you can go to all the stores and you can slide down the escalators and there's no rules, so like in a Purge type way. And that was one of the things with Last Kids where it's like, oh, hey, if you're a kid and you can take a go-kart and drive down through your school, that's awesome. And so trying to like find a way to set that up, it was like almost like reverse engineering. Everyone's like, oh, okay, so you got to end the world, you need monsters, you need no parents around. Okay, how do you do that? So Purge is like, I don't know why I never watched it. It's like, that should be next to me. That'll be tonight.
Have you seen also another one kind of along the same line as Daybreakers, where it's the same kind of zombie?
Yes, I watched it when it came out on Netflix, right? Yeah. Like teens, right? They're all, anybody over the age of 18 turns into a zombie or whatever that's right.
the big bad is over here. So it has that same like, it's a fantasy. Like it's, the kids imagining like, what if there was no parents and I got to run around and be kind of badass. Like for the first book, he's, trying to save the girl, right? One of those classic stories.
Totally. I watched it when it first came out on Netflix. Yeah, it's good. It's the same sort of like, hey, you can do whatever you want type vibe. Yeah,
exactly. And it's got a really great cast in it as well. So somebody else asked, what's your favorite zombie trope? So you've done a lot of zombie with VFW. You've done zombies with Last Kids.
Yeah, VFW has sort of like a weird drug, like a mutant zombifies them. Let's see, favorite zombie trope. That's a good question. I don't know. I like even though I just said sort of the opposite, like kid zombies still scare me. But there's parts of 28. I saw 28 years later, and that there's parts of that did scare me.
I haven't gotten around to that one yet.
It's good. 28. I like them all. 28 Days Later is my favorite, but I like them all. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. I guess it's like that's the trope. It's the like being stuck in a place, the reinforcing, the building the weapons, all that stuff is like the thing that always gets me the most excited. I could just write that book every single time, I feel like. That's my favorite.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the person who's been bit and is hiding it. Like,
I don't like that. That's like, that takes the fun out of it for some reason. It's not as fun.
We don't need somebody on the inside doing that. Fast zombies are slow. Are you good with the fast zombies? Like, do you feel like it depends?
And I enjoy them, but like I like the old school. That's my favorite. That's like my thing that I enjoy the most.
So I assume you've seen probably every zombie movie.
I don't know.
I know there's probably some real esoteric ones out there, but top of your head, what's one of your favorites? I'm not going to ask for your actual favorite because like that, I know that's trying to pick it. That's a Sophie's Choice thing, but
yeah, it is. I think probably the original Dawn of the Dead and Shaun of the Dead are my favorites. I think Shaun of the Dead is so funny and it's so like just it's so sharp and quick and precise and just like it's so funny. And then Dawn of the Dead is the one that made me like way back in the day fall in love with this sort of stuff because it was the guys drinking beers with their guns out on the field, like just like having fun, and the mall and all that stuff is what got me really into it. So probably, I guess, they're not original or unique picks at all, but Dawn of the Dead and Shaun of the Dead are right there.
Yeah, I haven't seen all of them, but I do like the newer installations. Like I always have respect for the classics, but I also really love it when you make a zombie movie and Dave Bautista has a big head and tiny glasses in it.
Yes.
So there's a lot that has been built off of it, and you get to make again because I'm more about the goofy action parts of this. Like I want to see some stupid shit happen. I want to see some crazy things happen. I want to see motorcycles fly through the air while the explosion's happening behind them. That's what I'm here.
It's like Planet Terror. I love Planet Terror is one of my favorites too. It's so fun, like because I think it's the older I get, the more I want things to be really dumb and funny because that's more. I like that level of escapism more. Like I want to take 2 hours of my day and giggle as opposed to anything else. And I loved the action. That was like the thing that caused you to follow the movies was like John Woo movies. And that was what I loved the most. I was like, I like cool shootouts and big stunts. Like I love that stuff. Whenever anything I like, and I like anything, I could hate it, but anything that's like that has its practical effects, I like. Any level of like, like, okay, that was cool, but like that's a computer effect, it doesn't seem cool to me. Like you could come up with any like creative way to kill a zombie. Like you need limit. I think it's like you need the limits of like I like watching something being like, oh, how they like figuring out like how they did it. And when it's just I don't mean to be specific a computer artist at all, but like when it's not real, it takes the fun out of it for me.
Yeah, it's very obvious. And like I feel like horror movies really, if you're not doing practical effects in a horror movie, I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah,
like, I don't
know why a lot of them that don't do that. And I find it's like I could be really enjoying something and then I'm like, okay, like you've like lost me immediately.
Yeah, I tell you what I've been really enjoying is Twisted Metal on Peacock.
Same. And I loved Fallout. I thought Fallout was awesome. That was the most fun I've had watching a show in a long time. It was so much. I love the games, and it was so like I remember like even like when I played like probably when Fallout 3 came out like I don't know 15 years ago or something, being like
2009, I think.
Okay. Oh, so pretty close. Yeah. So like, and being like, this should be a show. Like, this is how it would be, and they did exactly that. They didn't like it's also like weird adaptation with like a couple Easter eggs. It's like the game. And so I love that. And Twisted Metal was also super rad. I finished season 1. I haven't started season 2 yet, but I heard it seemed better than the first one.
Oh yeah, I don't know if you played the games, but
I spent I don't know how many hours playing Twisted Metal 2. It's like that's a top 5 game for me ever. Like
I was the exact same.
Sleepovers is just the best.
The way I squealed when Axel came out, man, you have no idea.
Yes, I know.
It's fantastic.
It's so awesome.
And that is again, it falls into that like this is horror, and it can be touching, and it can have a lot of a lot of points that are very serious and scary. But then there's and I'm not giving anything away, but when they're all driving at each other, shooting guns and rockets and blowing things up, and you can see that smoke is actually going up into the air. Cars are being flipped over. It's one of the reasons why I love Mad Max. I watch Mad Max now, and I just skipped all the car chases because, in essence, that's what I'm here for.
Yeah, the car chases and the Thunderdome, like I have a whole wall of Mad. Like, that's my like car combat stuff. Because there's like Mad Max plus Twisted Metal 2, and then like I love I did a whole book, the second book called Can You Survive the Zombie Apocalypse, and I did a sequel called Highway to Hell, and it's just a big armored car thing. Like that stuff is the most fun to me ever. Like that's all. If I had ever got if I just had a bunch of money, I would do go-karts with weapons on them. I'll keep the Nerf guns. I want to be able to control them. I want to be able to have a way that like there's some damage marker on somebody else, so there's a winner and a loser, and I just want to do that in my backyard. Like that's all I want to do.
Look, I am a big fan of irregular warfare, and I'm a big fan of when you take a civilian thing and put a gun on it. We call that a technical. Okay. And that's what we're creating. Nerf technicals. I'm there. I'm 100% there.
That's so
I will
fun.
come. I will help you strap thing. I'll go to LA.
All right.
I will shoot little dark guns at everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I want like I want a turret thing mounted, and I want to hear it, and I want to fire a bunch of dark guns in my kit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I've got a question from an 8-year-old. Wants to know why monsters and zombies for the apocalypse. So you can do a lot of things with an apocalypse. Why do you want to throw monsters and zombies in there?
So that was the original. My God, it's a little long way out, but it was. I love. It was like zombies first, and then there was so much zombie stuff. I wanted to make sure it felt different, and I also wanted to be able to do funny stuff with the zombies. But as soon as you start doing that, it takes the scare out of them a little bit. And so I liked the idea of the zombies being there, being a threat, but also being there for like gags, and you can do funny things with them, and you can get caught in a snare and yanked up. And then making like the big monsters be like the scary thing. And I wanted to like be able to use the part of my brain that's like, what sort of monster? What this would be cool. It's like Tremors a little bit, but it's not. I wanted to be able to use that part of my brain. That's fun. Like imagining writing that stuff, like big feet are stomping down streets and cars are getting overturned, and it feels like the Ghostbusters a little bit. Like that stuff, that's fun for me. So it was sort of finding the thing that I wanted to write that felt the most fun to me, and then kind of doing it. That's what brought them together. Those two things.
And I like that you've created a world where you can really put anything you want into it.
Yeah.
Any kind of monster that you want to do. Like I want to do a Tremors monster now. I want to do a Godzilla or something. You can do that and it makes sense within the story. But if it doesn't, we got a comic section for that.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
We got the last comics.
You figured it out too. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, look, I'm all about it. Find a place for all of your ideas. You know,
Exactly.
if things don't fit, if ideas don't fit in one place, you go find another place for all your ideas. Because no matter what, they're very good ideas. But sometimes the worlds just don't meet up there. So, Max, what are you working on now?
So right now I'm doing what's going to be like numbered on the spine, Last Kids on Earth 11, even though it's like 15 or so because of the side books. And let's see. So 11 and 12, I'm outlining right now and starting to write 11 and working on an original screenplay idea. We'll see how it goes. And the next Mr. Schur's book. That's what I'm writing right now. It's going to be right out.
Right on. Well, Max, I really appreciate you taking the time to come and talk to me. Like I said, my daughter has just been like, you need to get Max on the show.
Oh, well, please tell her thank you for getting me on here because this is really fun. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So where can people find you if they want to get more information?
MaxBrallier.com. It's MAX, and then the last name is always confusing. BRALLIER. I'm reading my website. I realize it's very old, so I'm redesigning it. I'm not. Someone is, and so that's gonna like one moment just appear magically live, and wherever decent books are sold.
Yeah, we'll have the links down below. Definitely check out Last Kids on Earth if you have your own kids or by yourself. They're good books. I mean,
Thank you.
I had to read some. Think, hey, before I talk to Max, I should read some of these books, and I blew right through them.
I'm so happy to hear that.
We homeschool, and we have found study work for the books as well that lets you go through and like read the chapters, reading comprehension, things like that. So, and since this is a book that my daughter has read 15 times, I'm sure it's going to be a breeze for her.
Love it.
But she's a real big reader, real big fan of yours. Everybody, thank you so much for listening, and we will talk to you next week.